News in detail. The Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal had its inaugural sitting on Friday, where it urged all litigants to desist from frivolous motions that would derail the court processes, even as it pledged fairness to all litigants and ensured it finished its business within the stipulated time. This was stated by the chairman of the three-man panel, Justice A.B. Abdul Karim, while noting that the tribunal is committed to completing its work on the 5 petitions filed before it within the time frame allowed for it to complete its assignment. Replying on behalf of the parties and their counsels, Ken Muzia said they would cooperate with the panel to ensure they meet their target and justice for all. The 5 political parties seeking to nullify the victory of the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Godwin Obaseki in the September 19, 2020 governorship election are Action and New Nigeria People's Party. During the sitting, the petitioners sought through an ex-party motion for substituted means of service against their respective respondents. Following the petitioners' motion, Justice Abdul Karim granted their orders and adjourned to Monday, December 7, 2020 for further processes to continue. A Benin-based human rights activist, Comrade Kola Edokwaye, said he and his colleagues have secured the release of the 11-year-old boy, Gift Osayuhi, whose picture went viral on social media on Thursday for allegedly joining some miscreants to break into Upper Market police station. The boy took a police uniform, wore it, and declared himself as the new IG of police during the NSAS protest. The report said the boy was released to them after they promised to rehabilitate the young boy. The activist quoted the said boy as wishing to become the IG of police in Nigeria. The activist said he will ensure the boy is given a proper education so as to help him achieve his dream. We, however, appreciated the Edo State Commissioner of Police, Johnson Kokomo, and Edo State Ministry of Justice for the kind understanding and cooperation. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Adamu, has urged policemen to protect themselves if they are assaulted. Adamu said this at the Federal Capital Territory Police Command on Friday, where he addressed the men as part of efforts to boost their morale in the wake of violence and destruction that trailed the NSAS protest. He also said no amount of insults and provocation would make the police abandon their responsibilities and have a right to life and should protect themselves if they are in any dangerous situation that is a threat to their lives. He lauded the policemen for their professionalism and effort to protect lives and property as well as maintain law and order during the NSAS protest. The police boss said adequate compensation will be made available to the families of all policemen that lost their lives during the protests. The police have said 22 of its personnel were killed and many others injured during the NSAS were inflicted with life-threatening injuries, while 205 police stations and formations were burned. Mba, in a statement, noted that other critical private and public infrastructures unprovoked attacks, their officers never resorted to use of unlawful force or shooting at the protesters. The police debunked a report by Amnesty International that protesters were shot at, saying they acted professionally, exercised commendable restraint, and some paid the supreme price during the protest. Some of the police issues. The Chief Superintendent of the Nigeria Police, Catherine Ogoji, has been selected for an award in peacekeeping. A press statement by the National Information Officer, United Nations Information Center, Nigeria, Oluseyi Shorimoku, said Ogoji was selected by the United Nations as one of the 2 runners-up for the prestigious UN Woman Police Officer of the Year Award for 2020. She is currently serving with the UN Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali. The Convention candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the Ondo State election, Peter Ojegede, has filed a petition at the Election Tribunal to challenge the outcome of the poll. In an interview on Friday, State Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Kennedy Periti, said Jegede decided to challenge the outcome after studying the results. He said the PDP candidate discovered fraud and other electoral offences were perpetrated by the APC during the election. Periti said among the grounds on which the election is being challenged include irregularities and pockets of violence and intimidation. He said Jegede also faulted the emergence of Akeredolu during the party's primaries, asking the tribunal to declare him winner of the election. Recall, the Independent National Electoral Commission had declared the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, as the winner of the election. According to INEC, Akeredolu defeated Jegede and the candidates in the poll, having scored the highest number of the total votes cast in the election. Coming up in a moment after this break, LCC notifies panel of readiness to present Lekki shootings footage. Stay with us, please.
seconds. There's a lot happening around us, but we can't be everywhere all the time. We've got work, families, and chores to cater to, and most importantly, time to rest. And that's why having reliable partner like KUFM News is important. Sleeping? We don't. We work round the clock, bringing you stories as they break. From Nigeria and across the world, we would stop at nothing to keep you informed, because KUFM News is all about you and stories that affect you. Politics, business, human interests, sports, entertainment, just name it. We've got you covered. KUFM News. Timely, precise, spot on.
Management of the Lekki Concession Company has expressed readiness to show the footage of the shootings of NSAS protesters at the Lekki toll gate by the soldiers. The head of the legal department of LCC, Bonaho Agboluwaje, made this known when he appeared before the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry for restitution for victims of SARS and related abuses and other matters on Friday. Agboluwaje noted that the footage of the October 20th shootings of the NSAS protesters by the soldiers is available. He said there were hours of recordings on the CCTV footage. Agboluwaje said the LCC received a summons from the panel on Wednesday to appear before it, present the footage, and present the footage, an investigation report, and any other document. He clarified that while the LCC is prepared to air the footage before the panel, no investigative report or document is available. Responding, the chairman of the 9-man panel, Justice Doris Okuwobi, granted Agboluwaje's request for a short adjournment. Following an inspection of the Lekki toll gate, the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry into the brutality and high-handedness by the now disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, of the Nigeria Police Force found some bullet shells. According to reports, 5 bullet shells were found in the drainages at the Lekki toll gate by the members during the inspection of the scene on Friday. The panel was led by the chairman, retired Justice Doris Okuwobi. This development is coming 10 days after protesters against police brutality were shot at by security operatives believed to be men of the Nigerian Army. The Nigerian Army had initially denied that its troops were at the scene, but later admitted that soldiers were deployed to restore normalcy in the area. The Lagos Judicial Panel was at the scene to make more findings concerning the shooting which occurred on October 20th, 2020. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on restitution for victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters on Friday visited the military hospital at Ikoyi and insisted on inspecting the mortuary. After about 30 minutes denials, the soldiers were said to have granted them access to the military hospital. A member of the panel, Ibn Olu Adegoruwa, said the panel has confidential information that certain events took place in the hospital on October 20th. Coming up in the moment and on Extra Voices, how a peaceful protest targeted at ending SARS brutality and later demand for good governance resulted into attacks of public and private warehouses in Benin City. Do stay with us, please.
In the ever-evolving world of news, one story becomes extinct the moment another major story breaks.
Market women don't know whether they be anything.
But with KUFM's Extra Voices, the story never dies. It just takes on a new life.
Market women, there is no water in the house. The toilet is not good.
We don't have any fashion in APC.
We bring you new angles and fresh perspectives to every story, no matter how old or remote.
There are a lot of educated people that are involved in politics nowadays.
We go a little beyond the surface to get you those extra details ignored in the rush for the news.
Now bridge, now we take the cars.
So don't die for inside.
We go beyond the lines to bring extra voices, not just for those making the stories,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
but for those affected by the stories.
I've lost 1 bag of rice, documents.
So it's a real disaster.
With Extra Voices, we add new flavor to give fresh perspective and taste to an old story. Extra Voices airs every Wednesday and weekends on KUFM's major news bulletins.
The protest in Benin City is apparently over, but it has left a trail of losses and destruction on private and public infrastructure as well as businesses. Apart from the dark arches everywhere, looting of private businesses was a common feature. In this edition of Extra Voices, Lebanon Masagwaram takes a look at the losses encountered in the aftermath of the NSAS protest in Edo State.
The attack of private warehouses by protesters following the arrest created after NSAS protest in Benin is one of the fallout of the over 14 days nationwide protest. Here in Edo State, a private warehouse used in fast-moving consumer goods, FMCG, was bungled by the residents, who after taking state government Kakovi palliatives from government food storehouse, was more than the proverbial oligarchies. The crowd moved to a private facility where some traders stored their goods. One of the warehouse owners